last season being the first year since 1964 that Anderlecht didn't compete in European competition at any level, including the qualifiers. I think that was, it spoke to their slump a little bit more. They were on this bit of a slide. Financially, there were problems. Are they still present today? Because we see with this Anderlecht team, who we'll get onto in a bit, they've got very, very young players. They're a very young squad. They've got, I don't think it's between the numbers of 2 and 7 they don't have in the squad, which is usually you'd correspond the first team players, the senior players would have lower down numbers. But are the financial problems still prevalent, or is there some, because I'm aware there's been ownership changes, has there been some sort of effort to rectify this?
Yeah, there's definitely still financial problems. And to be fair, like just kind of jumping back to Kompany quickly, this season, he has begun to sort out some of the issues that were there. Like defensively, they're a lot better as the season's progressed. Although lots of people in the media are kind of saying if he wasn't Vincent Kompany, there's no way he would have survived as long as he has. So kind of like the legend status bringing him through. And like you said, kind of like as someone who watched him a lot in the Premier League, I want him to succeed. I think he's a bit of a legend of football in general in my like kind of time growing up. But yeah, he's got to deal with financial problems. And if you just look at the squad this year, and if you look at their transfer dealings, a lot of their players are on loan. And that's just the biggest indicator, isn't it? That they can't afford to buy players. They're just loaning a lot of players in because it's just a cheaper option for them. And it's kind of come off the back of a really terrible period of spending, as well as this kind of a situation that's unfolding that, I don't think we have time to get into now, and I still don't know all the details about. There's like court cases, and there's involvement of an agent who basically made himself a lot of money out of Anderlecht signings. But yeah, like before this podcast, I was just having a little kind of look back at all the signings they've made over the past couple of seasons, and when you look at the big money they've spent, it just hasn't brought about any returns. Like you're not seeing the players that you used to see. Like you talked about Mitrovic earlier, he was someone they brought in. They brought him in and sold him on for big money. The players they brought in recently haven't been able to do that. They brought in Stanku from Steaua Bucharest, who I believe is still their record signing. He's now playing for Slavia Prague. Like he's not at the club anymore. They bought Boubacar Sané from FC Midtjylland. He cost them, I think, around about 8 million euros. He spent the last 2 seasons out on loan. He's not really getting a look in the first team, which is just, bizarre when you spent that much money and you're having defensive problems. And he's not that young. I think he's about 23. He's not getting a look. Michel Vlap, as listeners probably know, he's now on loan at Arminia Bielefeld. Landry de Mata, they bought him in for some money from Wolfsburg. He's now gone to Espanyol. Kemar Roof, now at Rangers. They bought him for some money. Like all these players are kind of in their top 10 most expensive players ever, but none of them are there anymore. And it's kind of like you can see why there's been problems in terms of recruitment in that end. And then there's also been problems in terms of wages. And this is where the agent comes in. So there's rumours that Treble, who's there at the moment, not just on his wages, but when he signed for the club, he earned about 3.3 million euros on top of his wages, which is a massive sum of money for a club in the Belgian league where your kind of modus operandi is to get young players through and sell them on for big money. That's just the way you're going to have to survive at the moment. So yeah, financial problems are definitely still there. And in order to kind of rectify that, they have to sell their young players. And in a way, because of the loans and stuff like that, and like you said, with like the squad numbers and stuff, the young players are getting more opportunities than maybe they would have. But Anderlecht have a good academy. They've always had a good academy. So these players are coming through. It's just about exposing them and kind of milking as much as you can out of them for success before you have to sell them because you've got no other choice.
Yeah, exactly. Maximizing their sell on value and knowing when to sell. I think there's few clubs in world football who are very good at knowing when to sell. It may not be a popular decision, but sometimes you that player stays 6-12 months longer, and their market value, especially for clubs who rely on player sales as heavily as Belgian clubs will do. Then if their market value halves or even quarters in that time, you've lost a substantial amount of income or potential income there. So yeah, I think that will be the next challenge for Anderlecht, definitely.